Hey guys, so we're going to go in with a little makeup tutorial here. So I want to take a brow pencil in the shade like a brown black. This is a Mary Kay brow pencil. Most of the products I'm using are Mary Kay, just because I am a Mary Kay consultant. But yeah, I usually don't really need that much help with my brows, but for the sake of this, we're going to fill them in, especially since I just kind of shaved up my brows this morning. And the look we're going for today is pretty much like a neutral eye look. This goes with literally any outfit you could wear, any color lipstick, any color blush. It just works, and it's very versatile because you can deepen the eyeshadow color, just add more to kind of add more color. And you can do this with pretty much any colors as well, but for this look particularly, we're just going to use very neutral, earthy skin tone type of colors, if that makes sense. And now we are going in with the face. So I'm going to go ahead with my Mary Kay primer. I actually did not use this for the entire year just because I hated the smell, but it's actually one of the best primers ever. Priming your skin is a must in my eyes. And then we're going to take, this shout outs for my oily girls. We're going to take a kind of like a light coverage foundation powder, or like a finishing powder you put on top of your foundation. And we're just going to place it on the skin to kind of even out our skin tone. You see? Voila. And then we're just going to do this also to kind of help start our coverage, so we're not using as much foundation. Just a little tip there. And it keeps your oil at bay. And now onto the star of the show, the eyeshadow. So this is actually my very first eyeshadow palette ever. You can tell I have used it for years, and it's still in like mint condition. This is the BH Cosmetics neutral eyeshadow palette, and I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush, and we're gonna go in right away with a very flesh tone color. First things first with this is just to kind of help prep the eyelid. I have oily eyelids, so this step for me is like necessary. Sometimes I will use like an eyeshadow primer and then set it with a powder like this, but for the sake of this, I didn't need to prime my eyelids today. They were kind of dry, so all I'm doing is just dusting that along the crease. Pretty much what I'm going to put eyeshadow at later. I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to sweep it back and forth, and then we're going to kind of do circular motions to kind of help blend that out and make sure the lines aren't as harsh. And we're going to bring that on to the eyelids as well. I'm just going to pat it, because for me, powder blends best with powder, so I like to kind of set it all and like prep it all with a powder, just so it's kind of something so it can glide on easily. Now we're going to go in with a slightly deeper color. This is more of like a brown color, and these look lighter because we're going to kind of concentrate these in one area, so it's going to look a little deeper once you put it on your eye. And we're just going to blend that into the crease alone. So we're going to go back and forth and then use circular motions to kind of buff that out, as you see me using here. And this is going to go from inside corner to outside corner, just in that crease. So pretty much the little indentation where your eyeball kind of sits in the socket, that's pretty much where you're going to put this at. I'm just going in very lightly with this because this is buildable. So eyeshadow is easier to build than take away, because once you put too much, it's kind of like a failed cause. So I'm just going to kind of blend that in. It's almost like an orange color. And then I'm just going to show you here, the brush on the bottom is what I've been using, and the brush on the top is what we're going to go in now with the darker colors, just because we need something more concentrated, a little bit smaller, kind of make sure we're keeping the color maintained in one spot. And we're going to go with a slightly darker color here, kind of more like a brown, like a deeper brown. And this, if you are scared to put a darker color on your eyelid, like a black for like a smoky eye, or like a dark brown kind of like this, just tap it like one time into your eyeshadow, and then tap it onto like your back of your hand or something, or like a paper towel, just so you get that excess off, and then just lightly just kind of buff that in. And so for this, we're just going to put this in our outer V, so like from the very corner of your eye down, like midway your eyelash line, along your eyelash, and then into that crease too, about halfway. And the trick is we'll start from the outside corner and blend in. So you're going to blend up into the crease and then down into the lash line. So you're going to start in the corner, blend up, and blend down, if that makes sense. This part's probably going to take the longest for me, just because I wanted to make sure that was a good mapping point for the darker color we're about to put on in a minute. And then, yeah, so this is in real time. I did not speed this up. I did not slow it down or anything with the eyeshadow application. I just wanted to make sure that you could see how easy and how fast you can achieve this look. So now you're going in with a deeper color yet again, and we're going to go in with that same little smaller brush, tap off the excess, and we're going to buff this into that same outer V without touching the inner lid, because that lighter base powder color we put in first is going to kind of be like the eyelid color, and then this is going to be like the crease color, so the outside V. And this is just very neutral, very everyday. You can wear this to any event. You can spruce it up with some glitter if you want, but for the sake of this, we're just going to go very, very natural. Once I've blended it in pretty good, which I'm doing here, I'm just gonna go in and kind of like make sure it's blended in with that inside eyeshadow color, make sure it's blended in with everything else, so we have a very seamless and smooth look. So now we're gonna go back in with that very first color just to make sure we have diffused all harsh lines, because we did use some darker colors. Going back in with that very first color, and we are going to just blend that in with circular motions to kind of soften that edge and kind of like diffuse the entire, like a neutral smoky eye out into the rest of the face, so it's not just like boom, a black eye. Now we're on to the face. So everyone has their own foundation routine, but for me, this is what I do currently. So this will probably change. Give me a couple months. I'll try something new or find a different way. I'm just going to use a concealer first. Some people are like, girl, you're not supposed to conceal first, but for me, it's a must. It just kind of helps, especially since this is a very yellow concealer. I'm just going to put this where I want to kind of like bring my face forward, or pretty much where I'm not going to bronze my skin, which will make sense in about 2 minutes. I'm going to blend this out with a sponge. So I put a little bit on my chin, down the bridge of my nose, above my eyebrows, like right in the middle of my forehead, and then underneath my eyes as well to kind of help brighten that. I'm just gonna blend this out, and another reason I do this too is just because I feel like if I'm concealing already, I don't need to put as much foundation on as I would think if I didn't do this first, because this already applies a little bit of coverage, and then I kind of put my foundation around it and like right at the edges just to kind of help blend this out, which you'll see in a second. But yeah, the sponge is damp too, so I just kind of like squeeze and run it under the water, squeezed it out really good, rolled it in a paper towel, squeezed it again, and then here we are. I just want to make sure that under eye is blended. I do naturally have some creases under my eyes, so this is like key. It has to be blended before I add anything else, or it's just going to be a fail. And now onto foundation. So I actually don't really use the foundation. I actually use like a CC cream, a color correcting cream by Mary Kay. The stuff is just the bomb. Like, that's all I can say, is just like the bomb. And so I'm just gonna rub this in between my hands and kind of put this everywhere, avoiding really like too much on where I put the concealer at. And I actually got a little bit more because I didn't have enough the first time, but yeah, pretty much where I didn't conceal at. And then I want to, of course, blend it, so I have to overlap it a little bit, and then I'm going to put the rest of it on my neck. Make sure you blend down your neck. Want to make sure you're all one color. Going to take like a moisturizing spray again. I'm just going to kind of spray that on. This kind of helps kind of blend everything, make sure I'm not too dry. And we're just going to blend this all together. So It's just the greatest thing. Go in between the brows, into the hairline. Make sure you're into your hairline, because if not, you'll have the ring of truth where you will be able to distinctly tell where your makeup ends and your hairline starts. So, and then here, because I do have a little space where I didn't put eyeshadow right below my eyebrow, I'm just going to kind of tap that in, and it helps blend it out too into the rest of the look. And I'm just going to make sure my concealer is still set to go. And I'm going to set it with a Laura Mercier powder, best powder in the world, hands down. I'm a Mary Kay consultant, and we have a translucent powder, but this powder is the bee's knees. It beats everything. It's expensive, but it's wonderful. I'm just going to kind of place this first, and then I will go back and blend it all in with the sponge as well. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of pat this in. So I put it underneath the eyes, down the bridge of the nose, on the chin, top of my lip, and center of my forehead too, right between my brows. I'm just gonna pat it all in. With makeup, I think it's better if you pat instead of like buff it in, just because you don't get those streaks and stuff. Especially for beginners, I think sponges are very forgiving versus a brush, which they can be they can tell all your secrets, all your pores. So now I'm going to take a rounded powder brush. First I use a flat one, but this one for bronzing, we're going to use a rounded one with a NYX matte bronzer. One of my favorite bronzers ever, very affordable. And I'm just going to use circular motions and buff this from my ear down towards my cheekbone. I'm going to kind of stop right where the end of my eye is, just because I don't want to drag it in too far, or you'll kind of look old, you'll age yourself. You just want to kind of have a natural depth and dimension to your face. And I add this to the cheeks. And I'm going to add this to my jawline on both sides, kind of hide my double chin. And then I'm going to add this from pretty much where I started all the way up to where like my eyebrow and the front ends. And it just helps bring back some color and depth back into the face. So now we're going to pinch that same brush, tap it into the bronzer, and we're going to go up the side of my nose into the brow. And then I'm going to show you another way I do it with an eyeshadow brush, like a fluffy blending brush. And this just kind of helps diffuse, so it's not so harsh, which it wasn't that harsh on the other side, but this just kind of helps give it a nice softer look. So if you're a little nervous about doing like a regular brush like that, use an eyeshadow brush and you can't fail. I'm just going to blend that in with the rest of my makeup just to make sure it's no harsh lines, making sure that, you know, I'm blended. Now we're going to take that finishing powder spray that finishing powder, like a light coverage foundation powder we used at the beginning. We're just going to top our makeup because I look a little white underneath the eye, so I want to make sure that bringing back some color, because that powder can be a little white, but and it's winter, so I try to make myself, you know, look a little bit more bronze and not just washed out by the season. Now we're going to calm it all down so it's not so bright and I don't look like I turned on a light switch. This is completely optional. I know some people can't stand doing this, but for me, like, I have to, because I don't want to look really made up. I want to look as natural as possible. And I'm just going to spray with a finishing spray. Some people don't do this, but I just like it because it takes away that powdery look, because I did put on quite a bit of powder. And we're fanning away as I'm dancing to a song I don't remember what I was listening to. Take that sponge and we're just going to pat and press in that setting powder into my skin. It's going to help set that makeup, like lock it in, so we're not going anywhere. We're good for the day. And it's just another step of blending, making sure there's no harsh lines. eyeshadow is still standing. Just gonna set my brows too. My favorite brush in the world, and we're going to use this to kind of add like a highlight. I personally do not highlight, I kind of add a glow, and it's by Bare Minerals. It's like a duo, so it's like a translucent powder to kind of help make you matte, and then a glowy powder, so you can see it kind of just gives you this nice natural radiance to your skin. It's literally like I don't leave the house without this compact in my purse. That's how good this is. But yeah, we're just gonna put this like on our cheekbones, bridge of our nose, top of our lip, and in our little temples right above our eyebrow arches. Just kind of give you a nice little glow, so when the sun hits you just right, it's like gorgeous. Eyeshadow is still doing great. So this step for me is just, it kind of helps your eyeshadow pop, as well as make sure your lashes kind of look a lot fuller if you have thinner lashes. For me, I do not wear false eyelashes, so I usually will do this, especially if I want my eyelashes to kind of pop. So I'm just taking a black eyeliner pencil. I use waterproof, but you know, some people don't like it just because they can be a little hard to take off at the end of the day. And it's going to help kind of like separate the eyeshadow from the rest of the face, so it stands out more. I'm going to do that to the other eye as well. If you're not comfortable doing this with an eyeliner pencil, I still, you know, concern myself sometimes. I'm scared I'm going to poke myself in the eye. I'm just use a good trick you can do, especially for beginners, is take like a very small eyeshadow brush, or like one that's kind of flat and pointed, and I'm just going to like brush like a dark brown or a black eyeshadow along that lash line, and you'll get the same effect. So now, because I don't put anything on my bottom eyelashes, I'm just going to take like a dark brown color, one of the colors I used in the outer V corner when we did our eyeshadow. We're just going to kind of like brush that along our bottom eyelash line. And then we're going to take our mascara. This is just any mascara. This is a Mary Kay mascara, but any mascara that you like will do. I'm just going to fan place it, and then I like to fan out my lashes. So I'm going to kind of direct my lashes where to go. So the outside ones on the outside of my outside corners, I like to push outwards. The inside ones I like to push in, and the ones right in the middle, like if I'm looking straight ahead, I kind of just brush those straight up. You get like a full lash effect. And you see my eye was watering, and this is a trick I do. I just take my beauty blender sponge, which you'll see in a second. Some people will wipe with a tissue that say no, because you'll mess your makeup up. You'll mess your makeup up. So you're gonna take a beauty blender, like a little sponge or something, and just do that and kind of pat and blend it all in. And if your eyes are watering and you don't want it to mess up your makeup, take a cotton swab and just like run it along the lash line so that you don't mess it up, especially if you're doing like video or taking pictures. So you'd want to keep your makeup intact. You did all that work, and now I'm just kind of like playing with my hair since I still have to do it. I'm actually going to wear a hat today, so why not? And here we are.